Now, live from Ernie's Cut Rate Liquor Store, shooting range, candle shop, bowling alley, massage parlor, it's the Dave and Doc Podcast.
Hello, hello.
Happy day, happy day.
Look at us.
We made it back.
We made it back.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. We took about a month off, basically.
We did. That was not necessarily intentional.
Not all of it was intentional.
Had a couple things, scheduling things, you know, all the things. It's good to see you, man. Though.
It's good to see you, too. I'm wearing a turd. Ferguson shirt. If you know, you know.
Love it. That's right.
If you don't know, look it up and you'll love it. Speaking of looking things up, the Dave and Doc podcast is available on the website at DaveDoc062.com, DaveAndDoc062.com. And I'm Dave.
And I am Doc.
And this is episode 62.
How about that?
62 episodes. Haven't been canceled yet.
That's awesome. Keeping on rolling.
I'm pretty surprised.
The producers have faith.
Yes, they do.
They have faith.
Lots of faith.
Good stuff. That's what we do. That's what we do.
It's a fun stuff we'll talk about a little later, but good guest coming up next week. So we haven't done that in a while.
I'm excited.
I was about to say we haven't had a good guest in a while. We haven't had a guest in a while. I didn't mean it that way. That's no disrespect to anyone else who's been on the show. But hey, happy Saturday. Happy Halloween.
Coming up on Tuesday.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. This is
Get your candy.
Get your candy.
Get your candy on.
Get your candy.
Watch out for the spooky people.
Yeah.
And so in honor of that, you know I'm prepared.
I know you are.
And,
I know.
And, I thought about a lot of things like, well, Halloween is here, so we're going to do some Halloween dad jokes.
All right.
Just to rock it and knock it out, and then we'll get into the rest of the show.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm good.
So and I know you're ready because I know you've been having withdrawal by not getting to hear these. Okay.
Yes.
All right. You ready?
Early withdrawal.
Yes.
Go ahead.
How do you know you've been ghosted?
How do you know you've been ghosted? I don't know.
The poltergeist doesn't text you back.
Oh. That's the problem. George Carlin said one time, he goes, "Where the hell are all the zombies?" He's like, I haven't seen zombies in forever.
What's going on? Why did the park ranger give a ticket to the ghost on Halloween?
Why?
Because he didn't have a haunting license.
Oh my God. That is a dad joke if I've ever heard one.
Wasn't that good? It's good.
Good Lord.
It's good. So what is in a ghost's nose?
I don't know.
Boogers.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Oh, dear. Why wouldn't the ghost dance at the party?
Why?
Because he had no body to dance with.
Oh, no. Good Lord.
I mean, that's good. And then here we go. My personal favorite. Why did the ghost go into the bar?
Why?
For the booze, of course. See,
I like that one.
You like that one.
I like
but yeah, definitely the haunting license. That's probably the best of the bunch. But I like the booze one.
I like the booze. That's good
stuff. See, you like that.
There you go.
So happy Halloween.
Hey, happy Halloween. Hey, real quick, we're show notes here since we've been gone for a little bit. We've got we're almost at 16,000 subscribers now. So
happy Halloween, folks.
yeah,
yes,
that's amazing.
Keep clicking.
I don't know who you are, but thank you. That's right. I appreciate it.
Worldwide, blowing up.
Yeah. And I mean, so originally, where did I do with that? Hang on here. You guys talk about
We need a stat boy, I'm telling you.
We do.
We've talked about this.
So my son, we have the 3D printer and he makes some stuff every once in a while. So when we hit 10,000 subscribers, which was before our last show that we did.
Yes.
So he made this a little fake play button.
Boom.
And did he did like a little YouTube letter. It was funny.
He's so creative.
Yeah, he called me by full name and you just Doc.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what your name is now.
That's okay. I get referred to as Callan and Kate's dad a lot.
That's
it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I'm called Steven's dad, Landon's dad, Coach.
Yeah, that's it.
And
that's it.
whatever.
You will not find me coaching. We've already talked about that. We'll let that one die right here on the podcast floor.
But so we're almost at 16,000. So a little behind the scenes. Like I was really pushing this year to get us up to 10,000, and when we hit that, I'm like, okay, well, cool. Let's just hit 15 before the end of the year. Well, now we're at 16,000. So unbelievable. So thank you, folks.
We'll keep rocking something out as often as we can.
We'll drop them out. Drop them like they're hot.
If nothing else, come for the t-shirts. Come for the hat that I might be wearing because it's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
And some dad jokes, and then some rants will be pretty much guaranteed just about every week.
I'm always pissed off about something
because there's one thing about Dave Man: if you know, you know.
Just keep that is very true.
That in mind.
That is very true.
And stuff just happens to you too. That's the other thing.
It does.
It's just so funny.
So I was thinking. It's Halloween, and I was thinking about Halloween the other day, and so here's my question to you. About Halloween.
Okay.
When do we stop this shit? When is enough enough? Like, I'm just so done with this trick-or-treating shit. It's so stupid. And neighborhoods have like such a big... It's like, oh, what night are we trick-or-treating on? And then you're walking around for an hour and a half and you're getting candy from strangers. All the things we tell people not to do. We say, don't walk around late at night, okay? And don't accept candy.
And if somebody gives you an oatmeal cream pie that is not in the original packaging, they are trying to roofie you. So do not eat it. Do you hear me? Do not eat the oatmeal cake in the repurposed or different baggie. No, that happened. That has happened. So you just need to keep that in mind. Or it doesn't have to be an oatmeal cake.
Yeah, right.
Anything
with cream in it. Anything with cream. Take your cream and go away.
Or jelly.
It's just like, I mean...
Because you might not be ready for this jelly.
When are we going to stop this shit, though? Like, I'm just... do
you think people will stop fornicating? Do you think that's actually a possibility? That does not seem...
that
is unrealistic expectations.
It is unrealistic.
So therefore, with fornication comes procreation, lest we all suffer the same fate with masturbation, where sometimes you just want it your way. Sometimes it's like procrastination, but sometimes you still just you just don't want to be screwing yourself.
Right.
So there you go. So unless that stops, Halloween will continue on.
It's just I'm so done with it. It's like such a fiasco. Like for us, it's a fiasco because we want to give out candy because we don't want to be those asshole neighbors.
That's right. So I get it, but we want to trick or treat too.
But we want to trick or treat too. So we have to have stand-ins for us to give out candy.
Right.
So like
Miss Brenda does a great job.
Lindsay will come over. Lindsay's mom will come over and do it, or my mom, or whatever. Yeah. And they got to sell out there in the cold.
Last year they were both there.
Yeah.
Miss Shelby and Miss Brenda.
That's right.
They were double teaming.
And at some point it's like, come on, why are we? I don't know. I thought this was stupid when I was a kid. And I think it's stupid now. Like, I just think it's the dumbest tradition. And it's like, here's what we're asking people to do in a neighborhood, right? Because candy's expensive. I mean, it is. Like,
especially right now.
Yeah.
Obviously everything's
so. But in a neighborhood, our neighborhood has 111 homes in it. I know because I'm in the HOA.
El Jefe.
Yes. So we have 111 homes, right?
Also known as the president.
Yes. I am El Presidente.
The keeper of the star.
Yes, that's me.
Is Dave.
Thank you. All hail the chief. So you got to pay. We're going to have at least 111 kids, but most people don't have. I mean, most people have 2.4 children, right? So like there's 2 or 3. So like we've got to expect about 300 kids or more, right?
And that's just your neighborhood.
That's just the neighborhood,
that's not including if stragglers people come up in here.
Yeah.
Because we've come up in here and trick or treated before too.
Yeah, we did last year.
And had a great time. Had a great time. It's very nice and very safe, but it's a lot of people roaming around.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of people.
And you got
around.
kids who, it's like one thing, like, it's like at some point, here's my complaint. I think at some point you should just flip and stop doing it. Like, you shouldn't be 18 years old trick or treating. There should be a cutoff for this.
Like, you could definitely have some rules of engagement there. Because it's true, people showing up, they got one of those old masks from, the section of Walmart.
Right.
And They're just running around trying to get some free candy.
Yeah, I don't.
They're like 6'2", full blown beard. It's like
they drive in with their Jeep Wrangler.
right. It's like I drove myself.
I just
I mean, I get it.
I just like, are we ever just going to be done with this shit?
No, it's not happening, man.
I don't dislike it. Like, I actually like kids, and I like
Halloween.
It's just
Halloween. I just love Halloween. Halloween. That's a Blippy song. In case you didn't, have you ever heard that?
I have.
Oh, sir.
Blippy.
Yes,
Yeah.
but have you heard the Blippy Halloween?
Yes,
song?
I have. I've heard that, and then the Banger Sisters. Have you ever heard of the Banger Sisters?
I have heard of the Banger Sisters. I don't know that I listened to the
They had a Halloween song called "It's Halloween," and it sounded like they recorded it on Mr. Microphone for you folks that actually know what that is.
Oh,
It's terrible.
Oh.
Like it is. I wish I'd prepared.
Sure SM7.
They did not. Mic. And just be honest, even if they did, it's not.
It wouldn't have been.
Pro Tools won't help them.
I see.
It's awful.
I got it.
It's like that person.
You can't edit bad out.
You know what I mean? It's
When
like
you're bad, you're bad.
It's like that person in church that always sings, and they're terrible.
I want to tell you how good God's been.
And no one will tell them they're terrible.
I want to tell you how good God's been.
There was some people that used to sing at my parents' church.
Started getting rough.
God, this is awful.
Tiny
This is
ship
worse.
was tossed.
I apologize.
If it wasn't for the courage of the crew, the minnow would be lost. That's the old person that confuses Gilligan's Island with the hymn.
Yes. The minnow would be lost. The courage of the crew. They got lucky and landed on a flipping island with two hot girls. So sorry. The professor and Mary Ann.
Here on Gilligan's Island. Yeah, I know.
There was somebody that used to say, the church that I grew up in, and I'm not going to say their name because these people listen to the show, but there was two people that used to sing, and like they would ask them to sing, and they were related, and it was just flat awful. Like, God bless them, but
I mean, that does happen.
they have no talent. It's like you should not be singing. But no one would tell them, right? No one would say like, "Hey."
That's the hard part because I mean, the principle of it. I mean,
I get it.
You're singing to worship and honor the Lord.
Sing to yourself. That's what I.
But it is kind of bad. And when you're sitting there, and that was, because I'm normally like this. Hello, how are you? When I can tell that the pitch is really off, you know that you have messed up. It's like, ooh, nails.
It got
nails in the chalkboard.
It got so bad that when they were like walking up to sing, people were like, "No, not again."
And I think that's probably every church.
Yeah, I grew up in a really small church too.
So they know you. They might come down here.
Well, they might.
You better watch out.
That's okay. I would tell them now. I don't care. Like, hey, listen, I love you, but just don't ever sing. Like, you had no business singing.
Or sing in the congregation. Just sit back in the, sing.
For these particular people, I think they should just sing to themselves. Like, hum it in your mind. I don't even think in a congregational setting it would be good.
I'm going to stop. Sorry. Okay. So Halloween's not going away.
No, so Halloween's not going away, and I don't know.
Lots of candy.
I just don't like it.
Lots of craziness.
Speaking of candy,
lots of pretending.
Yeah.
Speaking
of candy, I came to see you a few weeks ago for my 6-month checkup.
You did.
And my blood pressure's terrible. I'm clearly dying. And I've been fixated on this, like really, so we have like a blood pressure monitor that like I've had forever.
Right.
So I bought a new one because I didn't think it was right.
You wanted to make sure. Yes.
And so then I'm like, I don't know which arm to do it on. And then I'm like, okay, so do it left arm and make sure that it's like centered on the major artery and all that kind of stuff.
If you go to the American Heart Association's website, there's like 20 to 25 things of what you're actually supposed to do to get quote unquote an accurate blood pressure, and it'll stress you out to the point where it's like, well, I know my blood pressure is going to be high. This is stressed me out.
What even says like one of the things is like take it and then take it a minute later. I'm like, well,
Yeah, you're actually supposed to get an average of 3. Your arm's supposed to be, as close to center line and at, height, so you don't get that downward gravitational. You're not supposed to have eaten within a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Your bladder's supposed to be empty, all these things.
yeah.
And it's like, well, that's pretty much impossible. I mean, we can go pee before we obviously take blood pressure, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
Which is funny because, like, I'm worried about it, but you weren't worried at all, and that's who I should be listening to because you are actually the medical professional. You're like, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's like it's not even really that high, and I'm like, but I'm worried. So I get.
But some of that's also reassurance because if I tell you, oh my God, you're dying, what's going to happen?
Oh yeah.
Because here's the thing, I know you're going to monitor it, which you've been.
Yeah.
And then, when it's still kind of wonky or whatever, you're going to call me back.
Yeah.
Or it normalizes and you say, okay, every now and then it's a little off.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I'm running well within the accepted range.
Yeah. Which again, I know 120/80 is like normal.
That's like the perfect.
That's the perfect.
That's the perfect.
And so mine was,
or a little less. We just don't want to get under 100/60. But so because then people may well. That's relative too, because there are certain people who are certain age, body habits. It's like, okay, your resting blood pressure is super low because you're just a smaller person.
Yeah.
And it works out fine. So, but most people, under a 120/80, 120/80 less either number, and then we like to kind of keep it above 100/60 so you don't start feeling dizzy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so go back to.
Yeah, so it's funny because I had the monitor that we already had. I think it actually came from my parents. And so I did it, and so my blood pressure was 199/199. I feel like that was wrong.
We call that a machine error
because I feel like I would be dead. That I would only have that blood pressure for a few seconds. That sounds terrible.
It's actually not physically possible.
Oh, well then there you go.
So there you go.
So yeah.
So that's not a
So what I've seen recently is like 126/90.
So we're flirting on the bottom.
Yeah.
Flirting with it.
Yeah.
Do you notice it? Like, do you have headaches? Do you feel bad? Does your heart flutter? Do you have chest pain?
No flutter, no chest pain. Headaches, no more than I would normally have, like particularly this time of year.
And not necessarily relative to the blood pressure.
Yeah.
You've checked. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that bottom one, man. So we like it under 90. We really want it under 90.
Yeah.
It's better if it's under 80, but at least under 90.
I had it. So a couple times I took it though. It was like 126 or 130/86.
Yeah. So I mean, that's better, but we might we'll have to keep an eye on it, man. Because, both numbers, it's independent.
Yeah.
Because the top numbers, like that's when the heart's squeezing and you're trying to get the blood out to the, to the tips of the toes, tips of the fingers. And
so clearly I'm dying, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. But I would not. I don't want that bottom number living at 90 forever though either, because that. So
so what do we do to fix that though? Is that is that
medication or
tranquilizers?
Sometimes making lifestyle changes can help that. I mean, strict low sodium diet, monitoring your caffeine intake, aerobic exercise, because aerobic exercise does reduce peripheral vascular resistance and can actually lower your blood pressure. So, I mean, those things are definitely what we like to be looking at. So you might focus on 2,000 milligrams sodium a day, which sounds like a lot, except it's not. Really trying to minimize caffeine. So, like, if you have a Monster, try to just have that be the only caffeine that you're taking in during the day.
Yeah.
And again, physical exercise.
Yeah.
Those are the big things. And work on that and keep monitoring it. And you may notice that it comes down. Now, a lot of times it's genetic.
It fluctuates a little bit, but like genetics is what bothers me, right? Because like every male in my family, for the most part, has had some sort of heart issue.
Right,
so,
right. And so that's something, again.
What about meth? Do I have to give that up? I don't want to give that up.
What's the worst that could happen?
Right.
It's okay. You're okay.
You're
okay.
That's what your teeth.
It's just your teeth. It won't actually damage anything else. It's just the meth mouth.
I still have them all.
That's it. You're doing good.
Still have them all.
But yeah, we need to keep an eye. And the other thing too is like if you notice it shooting up and you're having other symptoms, I mean that always concerns too, because if you're having pressure in your chest pain, something else happening, and you're checking your blood pressure and it is running higher, then certainly we start to worry about, okay, is there something? Is there a secondary cause of why the blood pressure?
But me. Here's the thing: if I take my blood pressure and it's like not exactly where I think it should be. Not that it's even outside of a range, just not where I think it should be because, I'm a medical professional. My mind starts basically telling me that, Dave, you're dying. Clearly, right now, this instant, you're dying.
I mean, you and Lindsay were meant for each other.
We were because, listen, I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, my left arm hurts. Well, no, it doesn't. It's not hurting at all. And so, I go to bed at night and I'm like, oh, well, I've got a pain in my leg. That's clearly because my heart's stopping.
Right.
So I've tried to be a little more logical about it. But yeah, I think I need tranquilizers. Can you prescribe tranquilizers?
Well,
I need.
Yeah,
I think that would fix it.
Yeah, we could do it.
Does that seem like an illogical leap or an irrational leap?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
But
you would not be very functional
for the most part.
I think
what I can say is it's around 86 or 87.
Yes, I mean it could be a little better.
Yeah.
We're flirting with it. But
it used to be. It used to be like 79.
Right.
Like
74.
Yeah.
70. Yeah. I mean, we're getting there. I mean, I think I would really work on those other things, particularly trying to get some level of exercise, and that's cardio plus lifting, and see if you could draw it back down some more.
Well, I have. Yeah. So the gym has been a struggle.
Right. Well, you're busy.
I mean, the job has gotten a little busier, so I don't have that kind of time.
Right.
So I'm gonna try to do it twice a week.
You know what you could do as the El Presidente of the HOA? You would go for a walk every evening.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
And wave to your patrons.
I'm not gonna. Well, I'm worried about that because like JFK tried that too, right? Like he drove in a car and that didn't work out well.
It's true. We could get a motorcade though with like some bulletproof glass, like the Pope. We could totally do that.
We could.
You could be out in the open and just. I mean, it might be okay. It might be okay.
But so I should call you if my blood pressure is 199 over 199.
Yes,
yes.
And I'm going to tell you, Mike.
I was good at
I don't love the machine. Come in here and let's do a manual check and compare it to what your machine reads.
Yeah, so I turned it off and back on and did it again, but I should have taken a picture and sent it to you. Like, hey, is this good? Because it seems bad.
Right. Said, there is a problem.
So we talked about candy going to heart condition, and then speaking of heart conditions, Dennys, my favorite restaurant in the world.
And Dennys will certainly raise your blood pressure.
Dennys is closing a bunch of restaurants, and they just closed the one in Fountain City. For all you Knoxvillians that listen to the show,
gone. No more All-American scramble slam. No Grand Slam.
And I love Dennys, man.
No puff pass.
The level of service you get at Dennys is so consistent. It's just shitty. And it's so consistent. And it's I just love it.
Dennys!
I lived in Virginia Beach for a while, and we used to go there. I would work 4 10-hour shifts.
Yes.
And so every other week, we would work 4 days straight. So it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yes.
It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when we did those 4 days, after our shift, and we worked really late hours too. I worked for Gateway. That was actually a company, folks, for you folks playing at home.
Moo Cow.
And so we would always go to Dennys afterwards, and I'd get the All-American Slam, and they would just bring me the carafe of syrup, and I would just pour it all over that bastard, all over it. Sauces had, bacon, hash browns, eggs, everything had syrup.
Shoo.
Listen,
that's pretty bad.
Let me tell you when it was bad.
You were flirting with the diabetes.
When about 10 hours later is when it was really bad. Nobody wanted to be around.
It's like eating too many Hooters wings.
It is. We got Hooters last night, as a matter of fact.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
They changed their wings though. They have changed. They have changed. So, but I'm talking back in the day. I mean, the grease on the plate.
They give you those wooden plates.
Just let you know that your butt was going to be burning later.
That's why I think there's taste buds back there.
I mean, there's something back there.
I mean, that was some rough time.
I mean,
and I was always,
you
I'd always
had to
question
hang
myself,
around.
like, why would I do this to myself?
I mean, you had to hang around somewhere where there was a John imminently present, or you was gonna shit all over yourself.
Yes.
I mean, even play. Like there is not enough sphincter tone in the world to overcome that mass movement.
I just remember.
And then it would just burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno.
So here's the terrible story. God, I can't believe it. I can't believe I tell this stuff about myself here. So it was. I was living in Virginia Beach. I was probably like 22 years old, and we went to Hooters. Like I was off for like a couple days. Right?
Yeah.
So like we went to Hooters the night before because I could just sleep all day the next day.
That's what you do.
So we went to Hooters that night, and we bought 100 wings. It's more than just me, but there was like 4
Shut
or
up!
5
You know you ate about 70 of those bitches, and you thought you was gonna die.
I probably ate about 30, and these were 911.
You asking for trouble?
There was beverages and as well,
Oh, son.
and then like the cheese, fries, and everything. Right?
Oh no!
But I couldn't even gain
The
weight.
curly Q.
You know what I mean? Like I couldn't even gain weight at that point.
Oh no!
I was in my 20s.
Now you look at it and it's like,
Yeah, it's like-
there went 7 pounds.
And so I eat
The
all these
curly
wings.
Q fries.
And I wasn't feeling necessarily great when I got home, so I just went to bed, right? So I get up the next morning, and like
I
I've
can't
got,
take you serious.
and I've got,
I cannot take it.
so I get up the next morning, and like I'm like, oh God, I feel bad, right? And it hadn't hit me yet, right? So I had leftover wings. I brought some home, I brought like 15 home, and it was lunchtime, right? So I'm like, okay, well I'll heat them up, right? So I heated up the wings, and I ate those, and watched ESPN, and about
My mouth is open right now. Just so you. Okay, I'm ready. Keep
about the
going.
time that I got to the last 2 or 3 wings, I'm like, ooh, it's time. It's time. So I go to my bathroom.
You and Bruce Buffer. It's time.
It's time. And dude, I just destroyed this toilet, right? To the point where I'm flushing in between because it's like so disgusting. And I'm like saying, why would I do this to myself? It gets worse. So like on the last run of it, I guess that's the way, I don't know.
No pun intended.
Right. Waka waka.
Waka waka.
And dude, I'm just like, it's like
You're holding on to something at this point.
the best I can tell you is I'm basically pissing out of my ass.
Yes. Okay. Oh, yes.
and so
Straight vinegar, baby.
right,
Straight
so
vinegar.
I'm finished. I'm cleaning myself up. I'm like, oh God, I'm sweating. I'm not kidding. I'm sweating. Like this has been a rough go. I've been in there for like 20 minutes. I try to flush the toilet and it won't flush.
Of course it would.
Right.
I
don't have a plunger.
I knew it.
Right. And I'm like, oh God, I'll have to go buy a plunger and everything. And about that time, the doorbell or somebody knocks on the door, not the doorbell. So I'm like, I thought it was one of my buddies, right? I'm like, even better, they can ride with me to go get a plunger and whatever, right?
Oh no.
I open the door and this absolutely 100 gorgeous girl. I'm a single guy too, right? Shows up and she goes, hi, my name's whatever her name was, Gretchen. I don't know.
Hottie McHotterson.
So Hottie McHotterson is at the door. She goes, hi, Mr. Man. I'm from the U.S. Census and I'd like to, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, sure, because it's a hot girl. Like I'm gonna say no, don't come into my house. I offer her like a drink and I give her a water and everything. And we're talking, like we're just like talking and kind of flirting. I forgot about what was going on.
Oh no.
13 feet from me in the bathroom, right?
Oh.
And
no. And she said she had to go to the bathroom.
And so
oh, Dave.
So she said, hey, can I use your restroom? And it hits me. And I'm like, oh, hey, I said, totally serious here. Like the toilet just broke. Like I'm going to whatever, like just before you got here. And about that time, a scent started floating through the apartment. And the look on her face completely changed to like, oh. And so she started putting 2 and 2 together because, number one, there was a box that said Hooters on the top that was still sitting like in an area she could see because I had this tiny apartment. So it's like an open box, wings from Hooters. I smell something, and you just told me your toilet was busted. Yeah.
And there was no more discussion.
So I felt like
Turd Ferguson.
Thank you, Norm Macdonald.
It's okay.
But yeah,
it's okay.
I was shitalicious that day.
It was okay.
Yeah. So,
and if you're listening, whoever you were,
I'm sorry, Gretchen.
It's okay.
Hottie McOtterson.
I doubt that really it didn't really mess up anybody's day on either side because you were able to still continue. You went and got your plunger.
I did.
You might have had to have punished it again once or twice.
I did.
And it was okay. And she went right along asking people and recording census information.
I did. So I go
door to door.
So I go get the plunger later, like after she leaves, right? And I come home. And like I'm fighting with it, and finally, like
who does?
It's
number 2. What for?
Right, and it sucks it down.
That's the best when it finally releases.
Like, and so about an hour or two after that, like I had 2 or 3 buddies come over because my apartment was just the place that everybody showed up, and like we were going to watch football or something that night. Actually, basketball, I think. And
you still had giblets in the toilet.
No.
So
It just still smelled like they came in.
Why'd you not buy the air freshener when you went, dog?
Dude, I had air freshener.
Oh, it wasn't enough.
It just you couldn't get rid of it. Like I just couldn't get rid of the smell. And like my buddy comes over and his name was Jude. And Jude was from the Bronx. Jude was from the Bronx. I've got a lot of stories about Jude.
Hey, shitter.
And he walked in and he goes, like everybody's smelling it, right? And like he walks in and he goes, yo, what came out of your ass? And he was with us the night before. I was like, I went to Hooters last night.
It's like, we were there, man. You know what went down?
He's like, dude, run some water or something. So
run some water.
I don't even know what that meant. Oh.
That's awesome.
It's terrible.
That's awesome. Oh, man.
God, we got so much to talk about.
It's okay. It's okay. So that was worth it because that little detour right there, that was so worth it.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to. No. I just couldn't. I
couldn't
let that one.
Oh no, that was worth it. I'm serious.
So
moving on. Mass movement on.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Speaking of shit,
she's effing crazy.
Wow, I know, right?
She said, so she's been on the Today Show like 13 different times because she keeps coming back to recant like what she just said. The weird thing is the night that that Will Smith was a jackass and I stopped liking him when he smacked Chris Rock. She said that she goes, well, I can't, that night I went to the awards with Will, not as his wife, but I left as his wife. And I'm like, what? She actually basically said it turned her on. That's what she basically said. That he smacked
him.
Yeah. And then she said they've been living apart separately, like in different homes for the last 7 years.
That's right.
And then it's like she said, I'll never leave his side. And I'm like, well, shit, you did.
It's like
you're living somewhere else.
But y'all are in separate houses.
That
is called separation.
Nothing she says makes any sense. And like
they're crazy.
They are. They're
crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
They're crazy.
And again, here's what's funny.
Or she was like really crazy and she's made him crazy.
I think it's funny because this was Robin from the Howard Stern show.
Robin Quivers.
Robin said, what's funny is like, Will Smith's not the kind of guy she likes. She used to hang out with Tupac and those guys. Like she likes that kind of dude. And she got with Will Smith and he's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Right. That's what Robin said. Right. And she's like, and so when he smacked Chris Rock, she probably's like, oh, this seems more normal. But like, they are just so, right? They're so weird. They're so,
I mean, and here's the thing. If you live apart like that, you're going to grow more apart. And that's going to create more frustration because you're still quote unquote married. But I honestly, I think all of her, I would almost like to think, and this could be wrong, that all of her mess is what just completely screwed him up.
Oh yeah.
Either that or it really was just a total facade. I mean, the way that he had behaved and present himself for many, many years.
Well, she talked about, she heard voices to tell herself.
Oh no, she's got snakes coming out of her head, man. No.
She said she heard voices, and then she said she did ayahuasca, and like that helped her. I'm like, okay, she's effing crazy. Will Smith needs to run away while he still can.
And see, and that's surprising to me too. That I mean, because at some point it's like, okay, this is enough. We just need to go. It's not like wimpy Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner, where she talked bad about me again. I'm gonna divorce her.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's probably why she's talking bad about you, because you need to get you a pair. Because, I mean, come on now.
I mean, she
Come
says
on now.
so. Like at that point of the Oscars, when they went to the Oscars, when all that happened in 2022, like they'd been separated for 6 years, but
Yes.
they keep showing up together.
Yes, I mean, think about all the public appearances like throughout the years where they just came together just that, and like nobody knew.
And she said,
Or people probably knew, they just didn't say anything.
and she said, when they asked her about her marriage, she's like, "We're still figuring it out." Like, how long do you need to figure it out? Like, you're living apart, you're living separately. And I mean, like they had like an open marriage and all this stuff, and like. And again, I really don't think about Jada Pinkett Smith that much. I really don't, because I don't give it. She's never really done anything that I feel like is worth anything. But when she's on the Today Show,
We're talking about, man, she was in The Matrix.
yeah, she was. I don't. I
Wasn't
mean,
she in Baps? Wasn't she in that movie Baps?
Was she?
That could be wrong. I don't. I'm just sorry. I'm just being a smarty.
she was.
I'm just being smarty.
She's 52 years old now, and she's basically not relevant anymore. And
Correct.
as far as Hollywood's concerned,
But we're trying to do something to keep.
And so
up.
she wrote a book, and again, the most famous thing that ever happened to her was marrying Will Smith.
True. That's true.
Because Will was a huge star until he slapped Chris Rock, and now nobody will touch him.
That's correct.
Apparently, including her. Waka.
She was the original.
She was, yeah. So
They not been getting jiggy with it for a long time.
I think she's been getting jiggy with it.
Not with each other, I should quit.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she's.
Oh, no, she definitely did, because she admitted that.
Yeah, she's
Got her a younger man.
She's been Turd Fergusoning it up.
Apparently.
But yeah, and then Will Smith does that, and
Things are forever changed.
yeah, so nobody wants to work with him anymore.
Keep my wife's name out of your mouth.
It's the joke that I thought of when he said that. I'm like, if we're talking about mouths, let's talk about your wife's mouth and maybe
Right.
what's been in there.
Right.
And maybe you don't want to be around her.
That's
but
right. That's it.
I'll let you folks construct that joke on your own. So yeah, so that whole situation is, I don't even want to like. It's one of those where like I don't even want to glorify it by like listening and talking about it, but it's so crazy here recently. Like she's out of her flipping mind.
Yeah.
Like what's wrong with her?
And it just it keeps becoming more.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. No, I don't know. I think that's part of that too, with that relevance in general. And I mean, Will Smith, just dominating for forever, and just like, why would you do that? Okay, you slapped him.
And it wasn't even the worst joke that Chris Rock could have said. I mean, come on.
And you slapped
G.I. Jane 2.
And you slapped him.
Yeah.
Hit him with a closed fist, brother. Come on now. Don't.
And what the funniest thing about that, and I know we talked about this when it happened on the show, but like I still can't understand why the police weren't called.
Right. Where is everybody?
We just watched an assault and nobody did anything. It's like
nothing was done.
Come on.
Yeah, nothing was done.
And Chris Rock's like, I didn't want to press charges. It doesn't matter. 3 million people watch somebody do that.
What always happens is at least the police show up, and then you have to talk about what happened. And a lot of times, if it's witnessed, they don't care if you're going to press charges or not. They'll take the person away anyway.
Yeah.
And say, well, no, this was clearly an act that was witnessed. Anyway, moving on. Crazy.
She's crazy.
Dun, 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 dun.
You wanna
Oh,
hear
man,
something?
how about... That's another time. All right, keep going.
You want to hear something crazy?
Yes.
And I didn't realize this until just like a few. So happy to say Landon has been invited to the Beta Club.
Woo!
He's clearly smarter than I am.
Making good grades. Future's so bright he's got to wear shades.
He's doing good, but I didn't realize the grading scale now. And like again, his grades are higher. Okay, I don't mean to say it that way. His grades are higher.
Man, they let anybody in the beta club now, man.
But I didn't realize what they consider the A through F now. And let me tell you the new scale, and you probably already know this, but for you folks who don't, this is just news to me. 90 to 100 now is an A.
Okay.
And again, I have some comments about these, and we'll come back. But 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, and then 60 to 69 is a D. 59 and below is failing.
And then like 90 to 9. So they do B plus?
So I'm assuming like 89 is B plus.
Okay, 89 to 91, and then like 79 to 81 or something like that is B plus.
Well, no, 90 is an A.
Oh, I thought you said 92. I'm sorry.
No, 90 to 100.
90 to 100. I thought you said 90. Sorry, I misunderstood. So 90.
That's the East Tennessee accent.
Then that means they're not. No, there's not a B plus. There's just A, B, C, D.
So
F.
yeah, so
that?
90 to 100 is an. And again, I can make the argument both ways. When I was in school, this was not the case. Like an A was a much shorter window to get an A.
Right. When I was in school, it was 95.
Yeah. So
to 100 was an A.
And so, I mean, if you know 90% of something, then okay. I mean, I can make that. The problem I have with all of this is the 59 and below is
right. They lowered the failing by 10 points.
To me,
69 and under was an F when I was in school. So they're giving you another 10 points now.
And you hear all these political commentaries about how we're so behind in our educational system and we're behind these other countries and everything. You want to know why? Because no one fails anymore. Again, if you only understand less than 70% of the material, you should fail.
Right. I mean,
you just should.
I think that's an important piece to understand is that I mean, some people are not succeeding.
Yeah.
And they really do need to be held accountable for that.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of gotten away from that.
Because like Landon works really hard. Right, like he works really hard to make the grades that he does, and his grades are typically around 94, 95, somewhere around.
Which is great,
right?
Which
is great, but it's like it bothers me that like other kids basically just don't do anything, and they're still going to be walking the line in graduation with him. And it's like, well, this is not how our society's supposed. People that work hard are supposed to be rewarded, but that's not where we're at now. Everybody's included. There's participation trophies everywhere.
Right, no child left behind.
Yeah.
No child left behind.
34-7, by the way, Florida State over Wake Forest at halftime. Go Noles. Thought I'd throw that in there.
Nice, healthy lead for you, so you're not stressed out.
Yeah, I'm not stressed out.
That's good.
So now I feel better. I feel better if we were in the 40s, but that's okay.
It's okay.
But yeah, so I just feel like you just don't have to work. I was one of those students, and I never brought books home or whatever. And like I had teachers that used to say, Dave, will you just put some more effort into this?
Right,
like,
right.
You could be our I had a teacher tell me, you could be our valedictorian, but you're just not. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with B's. I'm okay with that. So
I think, and I think that still holds true. I mean, I think you have a certain population that's just, they're just content. I think that the hard part is there's a certain piece of folks that for whatever reason they don't have the tools to succeed. Maybe not to their, and maybe they have the potential, and maybe it's a social thing or something else, or maybe they have ADHD that goes undiagnosed, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But there are some people they don't have the mental capacity to learn the material to the degree that it's required. But then they kind of get passed on because what do you do? What do you do with them? You can't tell a fifth grader, well, you can't even get. I don't know what you do because.
Yeah,
I don't either. Do they just have to drop out and start working in sixth grade? Well, that's not good. that's not necessarily safe.
I'm all for that.
It's. I mean, that used to be a thing, you know. Or at least go through 8th grade. And it was like, I went through 8th grade and then I started working. Learned my job from the way up.
Both my parents did that.
Yeah, I mean, that was very common.
Very common.
I don't know. That's a hard thing. The grading scales changed. And so now on the flip of that rewards, if he's 94, 95, that gives him at least a small buffer. Whereas before, like I said, it was 95 to 100 when I was in school.
Yeah.
So how crushed might he be if he's a 94% student and he's not all A's and not getting in the beta club? You know what I mean? I mean, like that would suck. So I think there's a flip of that where you get a little benefit, but the bigger problem is there's this other set of folks that are now just it's almost like they're just. It's just kind of that fudge factor to get them to move on.
Yeah, and I mean,
so
again,
it cheapens the hard work that he's putting in because but they're not doing anything. And some of those people could do much better.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that they would be making hundreds all the time, but you don't need to. But they could be doing better, and yet they're like, well, I can just skate by doing this, and they have a whole nother however many points to kind of fudge it with.
Like, I mean, the A and B part of that, like, I don't have as much of a problem with because, like, okay, if you know 90% of something,
sure,
I
get it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but like, I mean,
you're helping the bottom quartile buffer. You're buffering them to keep them from actually failing.
Here's a good example of that, right? Let's say you're going to a doctor's office, okay? And you're going to a doctor's office from some jacklick that made D's, and not just D's, but like had like a 60.
Right.
But he's still a doctor,
right.
As opposed to somebody that actually made, B's. I want somebody that understood at least 90% of the material. I'm fine with 90. I'm fine with 85% of the material.
So there is a catch-all on that for medical school. Now, some places actually don't give grades anymore. They actually do more like a satisfactory thing. But when that happens, they do take your board scores, and you have to achieve a certain level basically to show your competency, which that's actually almost a little more pressure if you think about it.
Sure.
But University of Tennessee, they don't have D's. So it's either A, B, C, or you failed it.
Oh, well, good.
So there's a cutoff there, and I believe it was 70 or 75. It's either 70 or 75. I actually think it was 75. Anyway, there's a cutoff there. No, I think maybe it was 70. Anyway, there's a cutoff, so there's no D, so you can't make a D. You have to make a or B or C. Now, and they don't round either. There's no rounding. So if you made a 89.7, that's a B.
I'm just sitting there thinking, like, you're in a doctor's office, and he's like,
right.
Well, here's what I think's wrong with you.
Oh, absolutely. No.
And I'm like,
no, that could get you into some trouble.
What was your GPA? A 2.
No, that could get you, right. That could get you into trouble. That could get you into some major trouble.
Yeah, so.
Absolutely.
And I mean, of course, I've never seen this medical degree that you supposedly have, but whatever. I just keep showing up.
One of these days.
Fake
it until we make it. That's it. So I got it.
So, all right. So we've got, okay. So we've got a lot of stuff here, but I want to know what you want to hear about.
Oh, man, you know what's up.
So here's some things. There's people dressed as dogs. That's one.
I don't need that.
There's bed bugs in France.
I don't care about that. They take 2 months off.
There are Mexican aliens. And there's sheep getting high. Those are 4 things there.
Ooh, I was gonna shear your coat, but then I got high. Ooh.
Or we can talk about me hitting a fence.
Oh man, I want to talk about the fence, and then I want to talk about the end of the thing, because I think we could talk about that for a while. Yes.
Okay,
so we'll get to the other things. I mean, the sheep just puff past. That's my advice to that. Mexican aliens, just watch out for the houses falling all around. The bed bugs in France, don't take 2 months off in the year and don't work anybody. We'll just take the summer off. It's okay.
The problem is
because that's good for your economy.
They're worried about the Summer Olympics there.
Oui.
And there's bed bugs everywhere in France right now.
Gonna be a problem. Somebody's gonna be itching.
So
they'll be in the Olympic Village going, oh no. Hey, you know what they might be saying if they get a bunch of bed bugs in the Olympic Village?
I think I know exactly.
What do you think it is?
So the last time there was bed bugs in an Olympic Village, we have exclusive audio from that.
I knew it.
And this was the guy rolled over and he had bed bugs all over him.
Oh shit!
And he said, that's actually what I said when I had those wings. And
It's a
And I was
rock.
shitting everywhere. I'm like,
Oh,
I'm on the toilet, and I'm like,
Oh, shit!
same thing if you got a bunch of bed bugs.
yeah.
It's gonna be bad.
So
It's gonna be
a
bad.
few weeks ago,
This is bad.
I was
Speaking of bad,
I was taking Landon to school. Impromptu thing, like last minute. Lindsay's like, "Hey, can you take Landon?"
of course it was.
And so,
Trying to do no good deed goes unpunished.
right.
Dave.
And so
no good deed.
I got a little pickup truck, and
right.
and I'm trying to make a turn because she said, "Hey, a better way to go, not the normal way, but a better way to go is through these gates."
You should have taken 5 seconds in that car and said everything that this woman just said to me is bull crap.
Yeah.
And I'm taking it up, wadding it up, and I'm throwing it out the window. We're going to take our time. I'm going the same route that I always go. I'm not listening to a dadgum thing that she says, and I'm going to come home after doing this, and I'm going to be like, what's up?
Yeah.
Who's the man? I took him to school.
So
Celebrate it for a month.
So I'm taking him to school, and so a car is coming down. It's a 2-lane road and a right-hand turn through a gate, a tight gate. And I've got a little pickup truck, so it's not as easy to turn at times.
You should have called me.
Yeah. So
You should have called
I
me.
should have. And so there's a car coming down, so I can't take as wide
Right.
of a
You
turn.
couldn't.
Right?
Yes.
So I had to like turn tight.
Yep. I got a truck too. I love my truck, but yes, sometimes you've got to.
You got to, to get it like kind of a straight angle to go in.
Yeah.
So I'm turning.
Because it's the better way to go.
It is. It's always,
Saves you a whole 30 seconds.
it's just,
You also have to realize their brains don't work right.
No.
They just don't.
No.
And so they just think, it's like, that is the dumbest bunch of hell bull hockey I've ever heard in my whole life. And somehow you have rationalized this in your brain.
and it's 45 minutes before school even starts.
Oh my
So it's like,
goodness.
Like,
No.
what do you mean faster?
No, I've been like, listen, we're going this way. We're going to get a biscuit. We're going to get some gravy. I'm going to get something, jelly roll. And I'm going the regular way. No, I can see you should have called me. If this ever happens again.
Oh, don't worry. I'll never
I don't
go
care
through that
what
gate
time
again.
it is. No. I don't care what it is. You're going to call me and I'm going to say, remember when we talked about this on the podcast? Lindsay does not know what she's talking about.
Right.
Never follow their directions.
So-
never. You will find yourself lost or this. So back to you. Sorry. That's my rant.
So I make the right turn, and all of a sudden I hear, boom. Oh, and then here
Oh, man.
and Landon goes, "What was that?" And I'm like, "Pretty sure Dad just hit the fence." But it seemed like more of a. It seemed more like just kind of a. It didn't sound bad. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of like maybe I ran over a curb or something. And so I had nowhere to stop to look at this because like I'm in school traffic, right? So I drop him off. I have no idea what it looks like. So I drive to work, and I get out of my truck and I look. And I'm like, aye. So the right rear of the truck around the wheel well scratched up pretty good. There was a dent in the aluminum rim on the wheel. So like, and I'm like, oh, maybe I could buff that out.
No.
And so I happen to have a really good friend of mine who manages a body shop. So I sent him the picture and he goes, yeah, no, you ain't buffing that out. Nope. No buffing. He said, that's a replace the little strip around the wheel well and then a total paint job. And I'm like, okay, all right, I got you. So
You said,
glad
we've been buying that generic mustard for all.
okay, right. So I decided to turn it in on insurance. Normally I wouldn't, but like I'm like, you know what? We've paid forever and I've never turned anything in. And so I'm going to do it, right? And so we have Erie Insurance. And by the way, I can't stress enough how great they were. I mean, like this was
good.
I called them and they sent me a link and then I took pictures, uploaded the pictures, and they said, "Yep, gotcha." And I said, "Hey, I'd like to have the wheel replaced too because like it could probably be okay,
Right.
but whatever."
The proximity to where.
Yeah. And the guy was like, "Gotcha, man, no problem." I turned this in on a Saturday.
Yeah.
To Erie Insurance, right?
Okay.
On Tuesday, I had the money in my account.
Whoa.
That quick. And like it would have been faster, but they
Are you
were like,
listening, Bo Blanken?
Yeah.
Are you listening, Bo
yeah,
Blanken?
right?
I'm just
So,
saying,
like,
I
I mean-
think the gauntlet's been thrown down.
right? They were like hounding me. They're like, "Hey,
I'm just
how do
kidding.
you?"
Bo does a good job with those
So
clips.
he was like, the guy was like, "Hey, how can we get this money to you?" And I'm like, "Well, listen, I mean, I'm not
Right.
I don't even care if you give it to me afterwards. Like, I'll pay for it and you can just reimburse me. Like, I don't care. It's like, no. How do we get the money to you? I'm like, okay, take it easy. So
because so we found this out. So that, they're great on how they close the claims off.
Yeah.
And so the faster the claims close, the better it actually makes them look. So that was good. That's
Right.
good. They're on it.
So my buddy Daniel, hey Daniel,
In it to win it like Iserman, drink about 15 Heinekens.
and so he works at Mike's Body Shop, which is in Strawberry Plains.
Like it.
Hats off to Mike's Body Shop. Did a great job.
It does look good. I did check it out.
So
I walked around the car before I came out.
they did a great job. So Erie, great job. So let's go back.
This is very eerie, no pun intended, because you're giving out the kudos.
So
that can only mean one thing.
First of all, Dave did bad job driving. Erie, great job. Mike's Body Shop. Now, there's a fourth thing in the mix here.
Lindsay did a bad job.
Yeah,
and you shouldn't listen to her. So I blame that as the first thing.
I'm good with that. I'm perfectly fine.
Don't do that. Don't ever do that.
So since my truck was going to be in the shop for a week, I was going to have a rental car, right? And of course, Erie Insurance said, "Hey, we'll take care of that too, no problem." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I don't know when I'm going to need a rental car," so they sent me a link, right? And so on the link they sent me was an Enterprise
I was going to say,
rent a car.
And who was it through? Enterprise.
And so again, this
will pick you up.
Yeah, we'll get there. So Enterprise, they gave me the link, right? And I put in the information.
Right.
And again, this isn't information I'm typing in. I need everybody to understand, like, these are selectable fields in a drop-down menu. So there's like some if statements in the background from the coding side, right? So like, if I select this, then I can select this and this sort of thing. So I have no control over this. Like, this is, I can't stress enough. Someone sat down and coded this. So, to make it easier. So selected my name, address, the truck, my truck.
Right.
Selected my little pickup truck.
What vehicle?
And it said, what would you like? And I'm like, I really don't care. Like, whatever. I'm just going to drive it for a week. I don't know. So, but again, I'm trying to be a good customer.
You're trying to be a good guy, but no.
So listen to this. So then it says,
rolling out with a 72 deuce and a quarter.
And it says, and then it said,
see, you should have called me again.
And it said, what would you like? Where is it being? What's the repair facility, right? And that was an option. Mike's.
There it is, right? So there you go.
There was, and it said, would you like to pick up the car, or would you like for us to meet you somewhere, right? I'm like, meet me somewhere, right? And it said, home or repair facility or whatever. I'm like, I'll select repair facility. And then I had to select the repair facility again. So I want everyone to understand that it gave me the option to twice for the repair facility.
And I'm gonna just assume, what happens sometimes when you assume, but you did select Mike's both times.
I did.
Oh, that's good. Good job. So so Dave has redeemed himself. He listened to Lindsay, and that was stupid.
Yes,
but he has redeemed himself because now he's got Enterprise set up in two different locations on this drop down screen stuff.
Yeah.
Of where they need to go.
So then it said, hey, what day, right? I talked to Daniel and I said, hey, would this be cool if I came out on whatever day it was, like Friday?
Right, because you can drop
Friday
it
of last week,
right. Got you. Drop it off.
So I said, okay, this would be great. I'm like, because then Lindsay doesn't even have to be involved and mess up her day. Like, I can just drive there, drop my truck off, and they'll pick me up.
See, look how nice you are.
And I said, okay, how about 10 a.m., right?
That's good.
Cool.
That's good.
So I get there about 9:30, right?
Right.
And, not a terrible situation because, I mean, I'm also friends with Daniel, so, like, we're just talking and whatever.
Right.
And I look at the clock.
And you're sitting there going.
And it was 10:05. Okay. No, Enterprise hadn't showed up. And then somebody showed up. And I'm like, oh, that must be them. And it's like, no, it was actually another rental car company who was dropping off a car for someone. And I'm like, oh, well, that's okay. Well, it's not Enterprise, but okay. 10:15, I called the Enterprise and waited on hold for about 15 minutes. And they hung up on me.
Oh.
So then I called back. And then I forget what his name is, PJ or whatever. He used the word sweet a lot. He kept saying, sweet, sweet.
Did you say dude?
Yeah, so.
Sweet.
I said,
what's mine say, dude?
I said, hey, PJ, or whatever his name was. I think it was PJ or RJ, or no, there's a J in there. So I said, hey, PJ. Hey,
What do you think the J stood for?
Jackass.
I go. Play a little word
Jack
association.
off.
There it is. There it is. All right.
Jerk lick.
That's a new one. That's the new one. So anyway, so you're talking to PJ.
Talking to PJ. And so I said, hey, PJ, I need to check on a rental. And he's like, oh, well, sure. What's your name? And I told him, and he said, blah, 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 blah. And he picked up and he goes, yeah, I got you right here in the system. He said, it's ready for you anytime you want to come by. I said, well, hey, that's funny
about that.
I said, if you look at that, I select pickup, and you guys said you'd be here at the 10 a.m. and it's now 10:30. And so where are you at? He goes, well, let me pull up the actual order. I'm like, that's a good idea. And so he said, hang on. So, and
now you're on hold again.
You're waiting in the background, an Enterprise rent-a-car, you're our priority. The FIM.
It's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
No.
At Enterprise rent-a-car, we like it when you're stranded.
With some music.
Little elevator music. Your call's important to us. No, it's not. So PJ gets back on, right? And he says, hey, so that body shop is outside of the area that we would pick somebody up in. And I said, well, hey, PJ. So funny enough, your website and your application that I use to select all this actually let me select that and select the pickup option. So my assumption would be that it would not let me do that should that area
if that
be
was outside
excluded.
of your pickup option.
And I can also tell that PJ was not the brightest human being that I've spoken to. Okay. And like at that point, I'm like, oh, I'm just smarter than you. Okay, let me dumb this down a little bit. I'm like, you said you'd come get me and you didn't. And that's why I'm on the phone, PJ. I don't give a flying shit that I have a car waiting on Clinton Highway at Enterprise. I don't give a shit.
It doesn't help me. I have used that Enterprise. Enterprise.
Oh, my God.
That's a different
And
animal.
he said, so here was his solution. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what happened there or whatever. And, and I was like upset, but at the same time, like, whatever. I just, whatever. So, but then he said, you could Uber here. I said, PJ, you want me to spend $30 to Uber to
pick up the rental car
to cover up for your mistake? I'm like, does that sound like a reasonable request? He's like, well, I don't know how to get you here. And I'm like, I don't either, PJ.
That's why you're going to have to figure it out there, buddy.
So I had to call Lindsay, who was off doing whatever she's doing, selling meth or whatever. I don't know what she does.
Right. A little side action.
And so like,
side action.
And I said, hey, Enterprise effing stranded me. And she's like, okay, well, I'll come get you. So she comes and picks me up. And the whole way that we're on our way to Enterprise, I'm getting madder.
And you got a bad feeling too, because
Yeah.
you're like, this is not going well.
So I get there, and it's PJ, right? He
Oh,
comes out
of
the car,
course.
He goes, hey, how can I help you? And I
Oh.
said, hey, I'm the asshole that you just stranded in Strawberry Plains. We just talked like an hour ago. He goes, oh, sweet. I said, no, it's not sweet, because my ass was waiting on somebody for 45 minutes, and you didn't show up.
And now we had to drive another probably 25 to get there.
So he's filling out all the whatever, because I still need a rental, right? And part of me is like, okay, this is probably the link they probably sent me was some corporate thing, and these guys don't have anything to do with it. And I asked to speak to a manager because I wanted to make sure somebody knew the pain that I'd been through. Right.
And it's not even so much PJ's fault.
No, it's not at all.
But that could have gone better.
It could have,
in terms of managing the problem.
Had this been me as the manager of Enterprise, I'm like, you know what? That's ridiculous that happened. I'm going to send somebody right now to pick you up.
Because that's right.
Like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm so sorry.
Welcome to the new world.
And we'll bring a biscuit on our way.
The new world.
And I would have said, okay, because Daniel and I would have just hung out.
The new world.
We actually play with some remote control cars, too.
Right.
So that was fun.
Right. Again, our stress level was not really that high as long as they had offered something.
Yeah.
But they offered nothing.
So they offered nothing. So then I talked to...
we're fired up.
So then they let me talk to the assistant manager.
Is his name Jimmy?
It's not. I forget what his name was.
Can it be Jimmy?
I think it was Ryan was his name. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And listen, nothing against Ryan, but like they had no answers for me. Like, and
Naturally.
And then he says, Ryan says, says, well, I show on the account here that they called and left you a voicemail, as if that was to say they called to tell me that they couldn't pick me up. And I said, Ryan, somebody from Enterprise called me the day the claim got submitted. I filled out all the paperwork, and I have not gotten a call from anyone. If there is a message there that says that they called me at any time, I will log into my account with AT&T, and I will show you all the calls from that side that have come into my phone, and you tell me which one is Enterprise, because no one called me. I know when my phone rings, and I listen to voicemails, and I return calls as necessary if I can't get the call.
Right.
Nobody called me. Nobody.
And see, at that point, he was just trying to deflect.
Yeah.
Which that just makes people of reasonable demeanor, business acumen sit there and say, no, because now you're trying to pin it on to me that it's my mistake.
Right. A better thing for
it's not.
My advice to Ryan is, in a situation like that happens, like, dude, we missed this. I'm sorry. Like, that's what you say.
Right.
Like,
and you're already you're basically off the hook. Because here's the thing. The rental's going to be covered by the insurance. So it's not like you're not going to get paid.
Right.
You've already driven to the place. And so it's not like they have to come get you now because you're already shown up. So it's like, hey, just ask for your mulligan and that's it. Instead of but no, welcome to the new world.
So then,
I mean, it's always existed, but it's so much more prevalent now with the way that things get handled. So then it gets worse.
So then he says, well, listen, I know you just selected like a compact car or whatever. He's like, we're going to upgrade you to a truck. Okay. He's like, is that what you're used to driving or whatever? And he points He points me to this Nissan Titan.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I go out to the Nissan Titan. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, this is it's not as big of a little pickup truck as mine is. It's a little smaller little pickup. But I'm like, okay. And so we get out there and we're doing the walk around, right?
Boy.
So he's like showing like the scrapes and scar, whatever.
Yeah, and you better mark everything that's on there.
Yeah, we did and I stopped and I said, hey man, those tires look like I wouldn't let anybody in my family drive on tires that looked like that. Like the tread was pretty low. I made him go in and get their gauge and bring it out there to show me like tread depth because like I'm not driving this. Like no, like if you can prove to me that these are still within legal limits, fine. If not, I'm not driving this.
Right.
Like or you go take it in there and put new tires on it.
Right.
At this point, I was just being a jackass because I'm like, screw you people.
Right.
So he comes out there and he brings it, and sure enough, it is well within the legal limit. Like, so I'm like, okay, I'll drive this truck. So
I drive your truck.
So he gives me the
Enterprise, I drive your truck.
He gives me the keys, and like I get it and start it up and everything.
Did you tell him your heart was like a truck?
No,
runs on dreams and gasoline.
Is that another Josh Lucas song?
Luke Combs. No, it's actually Lainey Wilson.
Oh, that's a Albert McPherson song or whoever.
Fast Car has definitely become popular, though.
Of course it has. You know when it was popular? When it came out from the original effing artist.
Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around.
So then I'm in the truck, and I start to drive, and this thing's a piece of shit.
Oh, no.
Somebody has driven this into the ground. This thing's making noises. It's shaking. And so, I was so happy to turn that thing back in a couple days ago and then go get my truck. But yeah, the whole experience with Enterprise was absolutely terrible. And they sent me
of course it did.
They sent me a text to fill out a survey.
Here comes the survey.
And so I can't wait to fill out this survey because, it's not going to be good. Not going to be good for Enterprise. But yeah.
Sorry, guys.
So good job from Erie Insurance. Good job from Mike's Body Shop. Couldn't have been a better situation there. Enterprise absolutely 100% is just effing terrible. Like the whole experience was terrible. Like I
hate that.
And again, I understand that all this was my fault. Okay, I understand. I'm admitting that it's
right.
That it's my fault. But I have paid a lot of money into insurance companies over the years. So
no, I mean I think like I said, it's just. There's that you should. It all goes back to you should have never been able to select something outside of the service region,
right?
Or it should have said, okay, the Clinton Highway business, and I don't know if the next closest one is somewhere down. There used to be one downtown. I don't know if it's open anymore. But that one would have probably, I would think it would have still been in the zone to get that from where the Mike's is at.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I don't know. But that's, at least it should have tried to relocate you somewhere.
I did meet a nice guy who worked for another rental car company, who owned a rental car company that's around that area.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, if anything, he's like, hope this never happens to you again. He said, but if it does, make sure to let Daniel know, and then Daniel will let me know.
How about that?
And he's like, and we'll make sure to, because he's like, we actually dropped cars off a day before. So it's just waiting on the front. I'm like,
which would make sense.
how? What? That's customer service. How about that?
How about that?
So,
And they just got your business.
but the truck's back, and little pickup truck looks good now.
No, it looks good.
It looks good, and it's garnet. It's nice garnet red. Go Knowles.
Dun, 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 dun.
Speaking of football, in college football, it's almost
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
Season's
You kidding
going
me?
fast.
Playoffs?
I know it really is. Like next
Fast.
week they reveal the first playoff ranking.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Which they'll leave Florida State out no matter what. That'll happen. It's fine. It's not going to happen, man. They're not.
Nope,
they're going to let two SEC schools get in there and have sex with each other. And then it's going to be Michigan, and then they'll bring Ohio State in because they like to. Michigan and Ohio State like to have sex with the committee, and there's a lot of sexual intercoursing going on.
I saw the sign, and it opened up my mind.
Which brings up an interesting thing, and we mentioned we would talk about our guest for next week.
Yes,
and our guest next week is going to be Brian Tuohy.
Pretty excited. Pretty awesome.
And Brian wrote a book called the book that made him famous is a book called The Fix Is In. And Brian is basically, and says he has a lot of evidence. We'll find out. We'll talk with him. I've got a ton of questions for him. He says that that professional football, and not just professional football. Just understand when I say pro, I'm saying pro football, but he's talking about all the professional sports like the NHL, MLB, NBA, all that stuff is totally 100% scripted, and it's interesting because it is an entertainment venue. It's no different than the WWE. It's not. They're not held and bound by any rules or laws or anything. There's a lot of gambling going on now. I've got some games that I definitely want to mention to him that come to mind. Because they just don't make any sense to me. You'll be surprised. One of them involves Peyton Manning. The Super Bowl against the Saints. You're telling me Hurricane Katrina happens, destroys the city, and then they win a Super Bowl. That just how? Like, how did that? Like, really? 9/11 happens. The Patriots win the Super Bowl. Like, I don't. Sometimes things happen where it's like that was pass interference. Like, nobody touched anybody. Like, so. Again, and there's been some professional football players in particular that have went on crusades to basically say, yeah, it's completely scripted. But I got a lot of questions for him. So if you guys want to read up on Brian Tuohy, it's called The Fix Is In is his website actually. And he's got some other books. One of them is The Fix Is In Again. So it's part 2 to the book. So yeah. Hey, why jack up a good thing?
That's right. I'm excited to definitely.
I'm really, because he's been on the Dan Patrick Show and a lot of other so
be good.
Appreciate Brian for taking some time to talk with us. So that'll be next week. But just it's funny because I told you before we started the show, and we're talking about what we're going to talk about today. I had wrote this weeks ago because we took about a month off about officiating sucks this year, and it's been terrible. It's been terrible in college football. It's been terrible in professional football. I mean, the Niners basically lost to the Cleveland Browns because of unsportsmanlike conduct play, or unnecessary roughness or something.
Yeah.
And they showed it probably 9 different angles.
And he said, where is it?
It's like he hit him with his shoulder. I don't. There was nothing. It was a football line.
defenseless. Yeah. It was that Ward that was in on that.
Yeah. And so the official that works with the broadcasting group, he was like, I don't understand. Like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. The commentators were like, that's stupid, and that kept that drive going. And ultimately, and again, the Niners should have won that game anyway. But still,
right. The point on that, that for that particular game is the Niners should have won the game because they should have never been.
It should have never been
in the game.
No.
Anyway.
No. It was So again, but
it makes you wonder. It's like how does that happen? I mean, and again, it is. You think about lots of different sports and the way that things go. I mean. Red Sox, Yankees, they're down 3-0 or whatever and win 4 games in a row. I mean, odds of that, just lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Just different things throughout the year. So, but I'm gonna be really interested because obviously he's done a ton of research on this and has obviously been able to network himself within that world and get a lot of interesting information.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear from him and hear what he says because I've got arguments both ways.
Sure,
and so I'm going to grill him pretty hard. I'm not, but I do have a lot of like
I said, I'm just very interested with what he has to say.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's going to be really cool.
So that's next week. So. College football playoffs right around the corner. I mean, we've got like the big rivalry games coming up in a few weeks.
Flying by.
We got Michigan and Ohio State coming up at Thanksgiving, and Florida State, and like all these games that are coming up soon, and then it's conference championships, and then it's the bowl season.
And then you're into it.
Like we're right there. Like it's amazing to me. Like I don't like it when the season goes by this quick.
We're predicted to go to the Music City Bowl again, though. That hurts my feelings.
The Music City Bowl.
I'd like to go somewhere else. Nashville. Nashville's a great town, but it's not when you live in Knoxville. It'd be nice to go somewhere else. We'll see, though. We'll see.
Yeah. Well,
we got to keep. I think that what they're predicting at this point, I'm assuming, is 8 wins maximum for us.
Yeah.
And by default, with our conference record, that's where we'll end up. But you never know. Maybe we'll beat Missouri. Maybe we'll beat Kentucky. Maybe we'll beat Georgia. Run the table out. I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, Music City Bowl is where we're
I'll tell you today.
But it's better than no bowl at all. So I'll also eat that one and say, hey, better than no bowl at all because, with all the other mess that had gone on, I'll take a bowl.
And
a bowl every year, you will hear no complaints from me.
And to timestamp where we're at here, so because I want to make a bold prediction today.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to timestamp this. What time is it? I don't know. It's like we're like
2:36.
2:36.
On the 28th, right?
Yes.
Of October in the year of our Lord 2023.
The year of our Lord 2023.
At an hour and 17 minutes and 30 seconds of recording
into the podcast.
So there it's stamped. See, that's how I bring you up. Isn't that
I love it.
I'm here for you.
Thank you.
For you. I'm ready. So here it is.
My prediction today is Georgia gets beat by Florida.
Oh.
They're playing in a neutral site, which I don't understand. They're playing in Jacksonville.
They've always done that. World's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like
it's a party.
Play in the swamp. Play in the swamp or play in the Georgia Dome or whatever they're calling that now. Mercedes-Benz.
No, they play in Sanford Stadium.
Oh, that's right. That's what am I
down
thinking?
there in Athens.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Between the hedges. Yeah. Those beautiful hedges that someone gets stuck in every year because they jump out of the crowd.
I'd like to just piss all over those heads. Crap on the place. Georgia fans are the worst. They're the worst.
We're taking a break from the podcast because Doc went to jail for pissing on the head.
And if you are from Georgia, listen to the podcast, I appreciate you. But University of Georgia fans, they're the worst. They're the worst. And I was there. And I was there again. We won our national championship when I was in college. So, but y'all's fans are the worst. And I know Florida fans, I know Bama fans. Y'all are the worst.
Virginia Tech fans are a little out there too.
Go Hokies, right?
I have nothing against the Hokies, but like I've been on the sidelines for some games there.
I've always wanted to kind of go there at night. with Enter Sandman and all that.
We should make a trip there. Like it is like the actual place shakes. I'm not kidding.
That's what I've always heard.
I've been on the sideline and like felt like the place actually shake. I almost got ran over by a linebacker. Yeah. So like a linebacker from Miami was like getting ready to hit this running back from Virginia Tech, and like I've been standing there watching. I didn't realize how close to the field I was.
And it happens. I mean,
right.
And they're flying.
Oh yeah. So a guy like pulled me away.
You had to get the heck out of the way.
A guy pulled me away.
You needed the get back guy. Get back.
I did.
Get back.
And the guy said, "Man, you got to keep your eyes open when you're on the sidelines." And I'm like, "Yeah." I met Chris Fowler that night. He was doing like sideline stuff at that point, right? I know you don't like the Chris Fowler.
No, I don't.
He's the tallest human being. Like he is so tall.
I'd like to hit him in his nuts and make him about a foot shorter.
Well, I mean, no taller than I am. If I was going to punch straight ahead, that's probably where I would have punched.
I would. Yeah. No, hit him in the nuts, and I just hang his underpants up by the goalpost, give him the ultra wedgie.
You just don't like
him. I don't like him.
Yeah,
and he's tried to, and he's tried to make amends about the trailer park comment, but we will never forget that. It's all right. Jesus loves me, and he knows that one day.
Do you think if Taylor Swift ever got if she ever got like really poor, she would change her name to Trailer Swift? Do you think that would happen? Just wondered.
Insight from the man of Dave Man, the mind of Dave.
Speaking of which,
the officiating's terrible.
Two things that are pissing me off this year is the officiating and the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift shit. Like, it's like, dude, listen, you're banging Taylor Swift. Awesome. Okay. Like, I'm just done with it. Like, I don't care.
Showing up to the games in the luxury box, chest bumping Brittany Mahomes, who overrated. No, I mean, it's not. No, she's, here's the thing. She's a beautiful woman, but like her social media presence, I'm like, really? I'm like, your husband.
Yes.
Good grief. I love Patrick Mahomes, by the way. I really do. The things I know you don't like Patrick Mahomes. I get it. No, I like Pat Mahomes. I really do. No, he's incredible player. Anyway,
I actually think he's ruining football.
Well,
Would you like to know why?
Yes.
So, as a coach, and one of my primary jobs as a coach has always been offensive coordinator,
right,
drawing up plays and changing plays and that sort of stuff. But I've also coached quarterbacks.
Right.
He is ruining quarterback play at the youth level because everybody's trying to throw the ball like he does. So like this underhanded stuff. And listen, he's an incredible athlete. He's exceptional, and he can get away with that and do it.
Right, and could have been a pro baseball player too.
Absolutely.
So you have a guy like John Elway that can play, or Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders.
Yeah,
football player could easily, and Bo and Deion obviously did this. Play professional baseball and be good at it.
Yeah.
And so you got a guy. So it's like, right. So the odds of getting in the NFL, I don't even know what they are, but it's incredible. But then you got a guy that could have played 2 professional sports.
Yeah.
And be good at them.
Yeah.
That's so right. So the stuff he can do, it's like, yes, but you have a world-class athlete that could play 2 different sports on the professional level and be good. And so the kid that's 8 out here trying to do this, you can't do it. No, that's true. No, people see it and they want to emulate it because it's awesome and it's cool. But it's like, but that's Patrick Mahomes and you're not. It's great. It's great to aspire to that, but you're not going to be able to do that at 8.
No, and they're trying to throw the ball and like they're trying to do all this stuff. It's like, don't sidearm that. Step into it over the top. We've taught you how to throw.
He only does that when he's improvising.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have to do that, he doesn't throw it that way.
Right.
But that's what makes him special is yes, he can adjust and do those things if he has to. But no, if you're not if he can at all have his natural mechanics, that's what he always does.
Yeah. 34-10, by the way, is the score.
That's
Florida
okay.
State.
It's okay.
So,
fishing hadn't been too bad in that game.
I'm a little more nervous now. Florida State missed.
I feel like people officiating wise. I mean, I don't know if that's a training gap. I don't know if it's they're taking bad angles and trying to see the field. I actually feel like I feel like there's some positional stuff there that maybe is happening where they're just not getting in the right angle, or maybe between all of our squirrel moments with our phones and other things, I mean, maybe they're just not paying as good of attention,
could be,
as they once did, that's scary. But it seems to have definitely declined. Now, the other thing too is they're also way, way, way under the microscope because everything is recorded now. Just ask the Michigan Wolverines.
Right.
You know, so I mean, there's so much more scrutiny because everything is recorded and you're getting multiple. It's not just the TV broadcast. You know, everybody's got a phone or whatever. Yeah. And so, I mean, you screw up, man, everybody gonna know about it and it's saved for life.
That's true.
And so I think that magnifies it as well. But I do think I think there's something in the training or even, I mean, maybe some of these weird rule changes. I don't know, but they seem to be taking bad angles, trying to make calls, and they're not paying attention to what's happening.
Yeah, everything's pass interference now.
Yeah, and I mean I get it. So they made that so you can have for fun because they want to. I mean, what people want to see scoring. Let's just be honest, but. You got to let them hand fight a little bit, and you know, I'm not a huge fan of the face guard. Like, I mean, they let you do that in college. I'm not a huge fan of that, so I'm glad the NFL doesn't let you do that. Yeah. I mean, like, try to make a play on the ball, but if you're going to do that, okay, but let them hand fight. Let them have a little something else in terms of just competition to get.
All
there.
I know is Joe Montana won 4 Super Bowls.
Right. Well, no,
when the league was basically like more of a free for all than it is now.
No, I agree. I mean, there was definitely some other stuff going on there.
Joe knows Super Bowls.
He does.
He does.
He knows how to win.
I got choked up there.
That's okay.
It's all right.
It's a natural reaction.
It is. When I say Joe, I get a little choked up
from the PA from the PA.
That's right. Yeah, so Brian Tuohy next week, we'll talk about officiating. I know he's got some good comments on that, and
pretty exciting stuff.
And also talk about how is it all fixed? I don't know. Maybe we are fans, and there's no reason for us to be fans because it's just gonna happen the way it happens.
It's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I'm pretty excited.
I'm excited to talk to Brian.
I think it's yeah, and yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
it's gonna be good. Gonna have some good back and forth for sure. Get you on a rant, and it'll be exciting.
It will be because we'll see where his allegiance lies in football too.
Exactly right.
Yeah, buzzed up. Hey, it's been episode 62 of the Dave and Doc podcast. Almost 16,000 subscribers. Hey, if you'd like to be one of those too, you can do all of that on our website at DaveDoc062.com. That's DaveDoc062.com.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Canada. Thank you, Germany. Thank you, the Far East. Thank you, right here in the United States.
That's right.
In our backyard, next door, wherever you may be. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week, folks.
Have a good one. See you. Bye.